You have to wait over here, man.
Emerson, do what I told you. Take the prisoner down to detention. Move it.
My husband, please.
Fortunately, there's very little I can do at the moment. They'll hold Travis in detention until we set a bail hearing.
Yeah, well, when will that be?
Probably a couple of hours. Then we'll have time to speak to him, and maybe I'll get an idea as to why he would confess to something that he didn't commit.
I already know the reason for that.
What do you mean?
Tom, he's taking the blame to protect me, so they won't punish me.
Are you sure?
It does make sense. And it explains Travis's behavior this morning. The minute he found out Liza was coming home, he kept saying, I'm not going to let anyone harm her.
I've got to tell what I know. I don't want them to keep him locked up any longer.
Wait a minute. This is not a time or a place to discuss any of this.
I don't care. I'm going to do it.
Well, I'm not going to let you. It's all wrong.
Now, what's wrong about it if it's something she wants to do?
I think I agree. If Liza does have information about Rusty's death, I think it's time to come forward with it.
Look, I understand what you're all saying. But let me speak to Travis first.
No, there isn't time for that.
Sure there is. I don't want to weaken your position.
My position couldn't be any weaker. Now listen to me. He's made up some story about killing his father. I have to tell the police what I know.
All right, if that's the way you want to do it. But do me a favor. Let me speak to Detective Bowman.
No, Tom.
10 minutes.
No.
I'll be right back.
Tom, please.
Tell me where Detective Bowman's office is.
Right through there, George.
Thank you.
This woman insists on seeing you.
It's all right, officer. Plenty of room in here.
Liza, I think you're rushing into this a little bit too fast. I haven't had an opportunity to discuss with Detective Bowman your situation.
What are you two mumbling about over there? Come on in, man. You are Travis Sentel's wife, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, do have a seat, please. Have a seat. My name is Bowman, by the way. Detective Bowman. I think it's very good of you to come forward like this, but actually we won't be wanting to question you until later. Probably tomorrow.
I want you to hear what I have to say now.
Uh-huh. Well, if it's about bail, that's all taken care of by the judge at the arraignment. But Mr. Bergman here could have explained all that to you.
There's something you don't understand.
Liza!
Please, Tom.
Did you want to tell us something, Mrs. Sentel?
I want to confess to the murder of Rusty Sentel. I shot him.
That money is mine to do with whatever I want. Or don't you see it that way?
I don't care if you spend it on chocolate-covered grasshoppers. I just thought that we had a deal that when we get married, we live off of what we earn.
You're right, we did, but you left out the fact that we have some huge debts to pay off.
That's right, and I'm going to handle it.
Keith, the point is we're even. You've got some extra debts, I've got some extra money. Would it be so awful to let me pay a few bills?
Yes, it would. I will handle my own bills. Is that understood, Wendy?
Fine. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But at least I can pay for Andy's scratcher shots. I mean, it's the only thing she's ever asked of me.
Look, I don't care what you do, all right?
Fine.
Knocked me into a table. He was talking about being strong and being a survivor. There was a gun on that table. I picked it up. I wasn't pointing it at him. I told him he was a coward, that his strength was in guns, hiding behind violets. I became hysterical. I don't know what I said. I was so hurt. And then I don't know how it happened, but I slammed the gun down on the table and it exploded in my hand. He fell. I just kept hearing the echo of that gun in the room. I ran out.
Mrs. Centel, I'd like to ask you if anyone prompted you to come forward with this story.
No.
Murder was a few days ago. Why'd you wait till now to confess to it?
I didn't know what I was doing. I ran out of the house. I got in my car and I drove all night. I ended up in New York. Then I knew I had to get help. I drove to Washington to see Tom, and he brought me home.
You mean you were disturbed after the murder, went into some kind of shock?
I guess.
But this is your own story. I mean, no one has given you any details.
This is no story. No one gave me any details. I did it.
But you fired the weapon only once. Is that correct?
The gun went off once. Yes.
Get the photographs, Marks. Mrs. Centel, that was one fantastic story you just told us. And we believe every word of it. We're going to make up a transcript. We're going to have you sign it. There's only one thing. It's not exactly what you think.
What do you mean?
No way did this woman kill Rusty Centel.
Yes, I did. I did it. I saw him fall.
Oh, I'm sure you probably saw him fall. Man was so crazy, kept every gun in the house loaded. See, if he saw a weapon in somebody's hand and it went off, you could bet he'd hit the deck and stay there. He was no dummy.
Here's the living room of the deceased. You were probably standing here, right?
Yes.
Pointing the weapon at the victim behind the desk.
Yes.
And after you fired, he dropped down behind the desk.
Yes.
You see this here, ma'am? That's a bullet hole. 2 shots were fired that night. The first one landed in the book. The second one killed Centel. You fired the first one.
I don't understand.
Neither did we. But what you just told us explained it all. See, we couldn't figure how the bullet hit the bookcase at that particular angle. Now, here's where Centel died. By the fireplace. 1 bullet, close range,
Please.
in the heart. No mistake there. If you had a hit in there, no way could he have changed position.
What are you saying to me? Do you mean that after I shot him, he got up, he moved?
Your bullet missed, Mrs. Centel. Oh, after you left, the victim probably jumped up, laughed his head off. Till somebody else came in. Used the same gun on him. So you can go home now, ma'am. We may want to talk to you again later, but you see, you didn't kill Rusty Centel. Your husband did. Sorry.